Well, I've done it. I've completed Trade Tuesday. I turned a $60 cheap beginner Stratocaster into a custom shop Gibson Les Paul R8. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to the Trogly's Guitar Show. If you're new to the channel, recently subscribed because of the 2019 reviews, or maybe you just forgot I was even doing this because it's been 2 months since our last update, Trade Tuesday was a series where I took a guitar that was given to me for a product review and I traded it around, I wheeled and dealed to get it up to a custom shop guitar. That was the end result, and it took 9 months to do this. I never added any extra money to these deals, it was just all within the business of the trade. So as a recap here, September 18th I posted the first Trade Tuesday episode where I traded the Glarry Strat for a Gibson Nighthawk case. That case ended up selling for money, in which I used to purchase a 1970s Kent bass. That bass was pretty cool. Needed some setup things done to it, and I kind of had fun boiling the strings and things like that. But I ended up trading that to a fan of the show for a 2007 Sinister Gates Custom, Avenged Sevenfold. From there, I sold that guitar for money, which I then used to purchase a 1981 Fender Lead 1. Now, out of all the instruments of this whole series, I think that has to be my most favorite and memorable episode because I bought that from the original owner. It had a lot of rich history to it. He was a great guy. I kind of had fun making a compilation video of his interview. Some people thought I was making fun of him. I want to be clear. No, I was not making fun of him. I just thought it was amazing how much energy and passion he had for that guitar. That one was then eventually traded to a longtime watcher of the show for a 2008 Fender USA P-Bass. That P-Bass sat around, I think, for like a month or so, and I ended up selling it. It's at that point when I went crazy and thought, hey, I want to review the new Epiphone DC Pro, so I purchased that with that money. But unfortunately, it arrived kind of damaged. It had a big old ding on the headstock, so I returned it and got my money back. I then purchased a Gibson DC Junior, which traded for a 2014 Gibson SG Standard, which ended up selling for money. And we just kind of sat and waited for a while until a Firebird X showed up on my local Craigslist at a deal that was just fantastic. So then we sat for 2 whole months waiting for somebody to trade me a custom shop guitar because I knew it was possible. Firebird X's, despite not everybody liking them, they are great guitars. I still personally like them, even after reviewing 2 of them. And so here it is. I got a custom shop R8 for that instrument. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any interviews with this guy, but I can show you some of our email conversations and texts. What it boils down to is he had always been curious about a Firebird X since they came out. He had this R8 that was just lying around. I mean, as you can see, that headstock's all dusty. I haven't done any type of cleaning or anything to this guitar yet. This is exactly how it arrived to me. So when he saw my YouTube video, it really sparked his interest and desire to want to try one out. But unfortunately, his wife has a strict, one in, one out type of rule, or it's suggested it goes that way, right? I'm happy because I got to my end result and he got an instrument that he's always wanted. And hey, getting a complete Firebird X, that's pretty cool in my book. So this is a custom shop R8. What that means is it's a 1958 reissue. Historically speaking, 1958 is the first year for what we now call the burst. You can still find some gold tops in 58, but they're most well known for this new finish. That lasted from 58 to 59 to 1960, and those are the 3 golden years for Gibson Les Pauls. The 58s have the biggest necks out of them all, 59s are kind of right in between, whereas the 60s ones are slimmer. I'll be honest with you, I'm really not that into the whole R7, R8, R9 reissue stuff. Which might seem kind of weird as a Gibson fan, but I'm just not. I've never really dug into all the differences between them. I'm more of an older Gibson guy. I get really pumped up about prehistorics over the historics. But this is a nice two-piece plain top example. You've got a nice cherry back, really fat neck. I mean, these are huge baseball bats, kind of like how I describe R7s. Our serial number is 882041. If I had to give you an educated guess, I would say this is maybe a 2008. But let's go ahead, throw this one on the workbench. We're gonna have to condition the fretboard, polish the frets up a little bit, and clean it up, and we'll take an inside look. All right, with it all taken apart and cleaned up here, we've got what appears to be a burst bucker number 1 and a burst bucker number 2. And I'm always talking about how historic plastics are different. I always feel that these are more durable, they're sturdier, they just have a different look to them. I mean, I'm not an expert when it comes to what the differences are, I just know that you can definitely feel and see it. Within the circuit, the bridge pickup is reading a 8.15. And you've got a 7.7 k ohms in the neck, and hey, for fun, the middle position is about 4. But inside your neck pickup cavity, you get your long neck tenon, which is the whole deal for purchasing a historic, because it is a historically correct feature. Many people feel that also gives you increased sustain. But what I really like to see is look how clean these routes are. I'll always get people saying that that's weird that you look for that, but I think it's an attention to detail thing. If they're skimping there, where else are they skimping? But this is just a beautiful example. Another historic feature for these guys is ABR1 bridge drilled directly into the top, as it should be. And here's what that bridge itself looks like here. It says Gibson ABR1 on the back. The tailpiece is lightweight aluminum, which is yet again another historic feature. Now we'll take a look at the pick guard. This is just a sticker. It'll come off, but it kind of makes it look more new. This tells you it's part of the Vintage Original Spec series. That gets abbreviated to VOS, and essentially what that means is they did a light aging job to this guitar. Kind of. That's what this stuff is. They put factory gunk on your hardware to make it look older than it is. Another part of the VOS job is they age your screws to make it look like they're older. You see how they're kind of rusty on the top and sides, especially prevalent right there. And we get our gold knobs here. From a condition standpoint, if you are interested in trading me for this instrument, you can see there are some internal cracks in these knobs. That's common. Sometimes it happens when they put them on. Sometimes it happens if they get taken off. They're completely secure, but I do want you to know that they are there. You also got your little thumb bleeds. They're pretty sharp, so be careful or you'll figure out why they got the nickname thumb bleeders. Spec-wise, we've got the maple top, solid mahogany body, solid mahogany neck, and a beautiful rosewood fretboard on this guy. You can see how sharp the inlays look. That's different from the current Gibson USA lineup. And I'm always surprised how shiny these frets get. And I don't even do like a full polish job. I just take a little bit of steel wool. You just want to make sure you're not getting the fretboard and just rub it along there. That's how I polish stuff. Some people use actual like polish on it to get it even shinier, but this has always been good enough for me. And the only thing condition wise on this guy, I mean, you've got a few light impressions here or there, but there's always like this line right here. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it came from the factory that way. Who knows? But now the headstock. You can see that there is a little bit of the truss rod poking above the nut. It's not in maxed out territory, but it's apparently been used, or maybe they just made that rod a little bit too long at the factory. I've seen that, unfortunately. At one point in time, the screw was tightened down a little bit too much and it cracked the truss rod cover, which is very common, but at least you still have that piece. And once it's in place, you can still tell, but, you know, at least it's still there. But other than that, we have a Les Paul model silkscreen a little bit higher up the headstock and a Gibson Mother of Pearl logo with your correct Kluson style tuners. Measurements on this guy, 1.7 inches at the nut and 2.05 at the 12th. First fret neck depth, a big chunky 0.94 and a super fat 1.03 at the 12th. I mean, this is a huge baseball bat neck. And it features the typical 24 3/4 inch scale. Moving on to the back here, you've got beautiful wood grain and the mahogany. Look at this cavity route. So beautifully crafted. You've got 50s wiring style in here with the bumblebee caps. I mean, this is the good stuff as far as Gibson goes. And here's the inside of the toggle switch route and cavity. You can see right there, there's a little piece of plastic. That broke off of this when I removed it. It was really stuck in there, so that's something to know.
But at the same time, you could see that as a feature, because now you can always line this up with that, so you never have to go, which way does this go? But then again, who really takes that off? On the side of the instrument, you still have your original plastic jack plate. Even though this is inferior to a metal one, it's a historic correct thing. You've got original style strap buttons on here yet. Our serial number is 882041. This example weighs 9 pounds, 4.4 ounces.
So now the big question, what becomes of Trade Tuesday now? I'm really not sure. The way I thought this was going to go, I was just going to start again. But I did a poll in my community section, and it seems a lot of people just want me to keep going with this instrument. However, I also think they misunderstood my question. Are you guys interested in me starting all over with another Glarry instrument and trading it around to get to another custom shop guitar? Or do you want me to take this further in season 2 to see if we can get to a 50s Les Paul? And by a 50s LP, I'm talking like a 1952 gold top. And then we take it to a burst from there. So since this series is kind of up in the air, for now, I'm going to list it on Reverb. If you have something you'd be interested in trading me for this, feel free to send me a message over there by following the link in the description. But let's go ahead and review the condition now, just in case you are interested. Face of the headstock, now that I have it all cleaned off, it did reveal a few impressions here. The one I want you to be most aware of is there's a pretty sizable ding right here. It's not too noticeable, but it's definitely able to be seen once you get it in the light. Other than that, you've just kind of got typical string change scratches. You have a little bit of edge wear along the sides of the headstock, but nothing that makes this look like super worn or anything. I'm seeing a very small chip right here on the edge of the headstock. Again, you have the cracked truss rod cover. Not a huge deal. It stays in place, but you can see it's been cracked. I just conditioned the fretboard, polished up them frets. These frets, they look brand new to me. There's really no issues there. Face of the guitar, it's in good shape. We'll run the light along it. I mean, you've got some picking scratches, a few marks, light nicks and dings here or there. But I mean, this is still in what I would consider very good condition. There's no major gouges or anything anywhere. And you've got the factory VOS job on the pickup covers, the screws, and all that, as we discussed earlier. Back of the headstock, nothing too major to go over here that we haven't already talked about. You can see there's a little bit of the red color bleed onto the side of the headstock here, but that's about it as far as like finish blemishes go. I don't see very much binding bleed or anything like that, so you're good on this example as far as that goes. And the back of the instrument, I mean, this thing was not played that much. Doesn't mean it's not a good guitar, it just means somebody took good care of it, or they had other guitars they liked better. So, I mean, this thing's in great shape if you're looking for a clean R8 from the mid-2000s, is my guess. Sides of the instrument, we'll run the light along it here so you can see as well. But I'm not seeing anything too major. It appears to be all original. I mean, there's not much more you can ask for when it comes to one of these guys, right? Now we'll take a quick look under Blacklight. Everything's looking good here on the front. I would say our sides are also looking the way we would want to see. Back is glowing beautifully, as is the neck. I had somebody say they missed these Blacklight tests. I can only do these for used guitars. It doesn't make sense to Blacklight a brand new one. This instrument comes in a Gibson custom shop case. So the inside of this case, dark burgundy plush material. I love these cases. They're so protective. They feel good. Double neck rest. You've got a compartment with case candy. So beautiful case. Can't say much more about that. You've got the important case candy here. Customer care guide. What would you do without this? The old certificate of authenticity thing that used to be attached to here. Custom shop, and then the actual COA. I mean, this is important only for resale, but thankfully we do have that here. It reads LPR8 882041. If you think you might be interested in trading me something for this instrument, feel free to check out that link in the description that will take you to the Reverb for Sale page. Thank you, Troglodytes, for tuning in to Trade Tuesday, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.